Welcome back, everybody. This is Brother Mutant here. Today we're going to show you another build. This is, again, another teammate build, modded, just so we're upfront and clear on this. This is Linzi's build, or one of her builds. She can build her a variety of different ways, and one of the reasons that is useful is Linzi is exactly what you'd want in a bard. Really good dexterity, really good charisma. Not amazing in both of those stats. She has a decent con as well, and enough intelligence to make her skill points really valuable. The reason this is important is because Linzi, as a bard, has a green check mark next to every skill. Bards have access to everything, which again, if you just unlock everything, makes them functional, at least very early on, and then after that, it's up to you to make sure that they're very good. Notice that I'm using mods. Bag of Tricks will be how I level the character up, and Eldritch Arcana will be how I actually had some feats and some spells, as well as traits that you don't have in the vanilla version of the game. So again, I will do a separate vanilla version build for Linzi. It'll be very bland toast, kind of like Harem in that regard. She'll be more of a ranged attacker. I'll show you spells that I think are viable for that build. Same with this one, but let's actually get into it, shall we? Now, for this one, because we have mods, we have a couple things that we can really do with her that's actually interesting. Traits being one. This will be the build where we take her from level 1 on up, so you don't actually exempt her down to 0 and then start over, which is a shame because then we're missing out on some traits. But we can get 3 traits by the end of the build, and that's good enough for me, I suppose. The third build that I do for Linzi will probably exempt her down and toy around a little bit with what we can do. But here's her character. First, let's take a look at Linzi. She has gear on right now. I gave her a belt, +6 for strength, dex, and con, and that's only because, well, one, you would be doing that after you level your character up anyway. You'll naturally give them better gear, but she was also overweight because of the stuff that she was wearing. I even gave her a mithril chain shirt to make her lighter. But that belt was simply so that she wouldn't be over, and she really was over. Again, if I would have taken those things off, she would have been probably fine. I wouldn't have needed the belt or even the fancy chain shirt, just to show you what I'm talking about here. Nope, she's still over. You see that? 29.1. This is crappy strength stat, which again is fine. You can give her leathers or something else that's equally or almost as good as what she's wearing right now. But once you get her like a mithril chain shirt +1 through all the way up to +5, then she goes a lot better. And again, she doesn't have the weapon of choice. I would give her a heavy crossbow instead of a light crossbow, which you'll see when we build her up. But her stats, again, are strength of 8, dex of 16, 14 con. That's pretty nice for you, for someone that's going to be in the back range to have a decent stat like that. That's pretty impressive. 14 intelligence, which again you'll appreciate since she's not human. She's a halfling. She gets extra skills if she were a human. But this will be a big boon in the right direction. Wisdom of 10, which means her will saves are going to be kind of piss. And her charisma is solid 16, which again, not amazing, but for a bard that'll allow her to cast from day 1 every spell that she could ever have access to. So she's fine the way she is. So where will we put the 5 points? Let's talk about this. You can make her a dex-based character. Again, she's a weird duck, a lot like Harem, in that every stat is an even number, which means at level 20 you get that last point. That's a 5th point. Well, where would you put an odd one? Strength. Just bring it up to a 9. Call it good. The other 4, though, where would you put them? Well, you could put those in dex. Max that out to a solid 20 for her, plus gear, of course. You could have done the same, though, for charisma. You could do 2 and 2. You could do some in charisma, some in intelligence to get more skills. I tried that one. I wasn't a fan. The reason for it is I'd rather have more spells a day, and I love to have a better DC check. Remember, every bonus that you have over here for a bard gives a bonus to the DC checks of their spells. Having an intelligence of 16, even if it's early on, is only really going to get you a total by the end of the build of another 10 skill points. Which, hey, maybe you felt like you were a little lackluster. By the time this build is over, you'll see that with what she has working for her for an intelligence, she's going to be fine. She'll be a very, very good as a bard in a lot of different skills, as you will see. Charisma, though, we're going to push this all the way to 20. And then the last point, like I said, we're going to put into strength, just so we're clear on this. So they start us out with extra performance. Again, nothing you can do about that. Nothing wrong with that either. Again, she is a bard. She will have various performances. Her starting one, of course, is Inspire Courage, which gets better over time. She'll eventually get things like Inspire Competence. She'll get Fascinate. She'll get Dirge of Doom. This one's actually pretty useful for this particular build, and I'll show you why later. She has Inspire Greatness. Why they're on different linear paths, I have no idea. They should have just made it one contiguous piece, but whatever. She has Soothing Performance, which is a way for her to AoE heal. but only if she burns up like 4 rounds at a time. It's a clickable, not a toggle. She basically clicks it, and then boom, she uses it for a big AoE heal, and then 4 rounds of continuous performance is wasted. So yeah, it's fine. She also has the ability to frighten tune, as you can see here. It's actually pretty powerful, kind of like a bigger version, in my opinion, of this one. Then we have Inspire Heroics, and of course the last one here at level 20, the Deadly Performance. Notice these ones here are just buffs. Just want to make sure they're not missing one here. Well versed. Yeah, so these ones here are just buffs because of how long it takes for her to activate this. So if right now at level 1 it's a standard action, so you fire it up, that's her turn. So preemptively before you go into battle, you almost want to turn it on first, just to start it off, get the buff going, run into battle, and then she'll still have at the very first combat round the chance to shoot somebody or do whatever, cast a spell. So that's how I would play her, and again, that's a little different for everybody. But later on, you get it to make it a move action instead of a standard action. Then later than that, you'll get the ability to act it as a swift action, which means you fire it up, you can still move and still shoot. You run and gun, so to speak. And she is going to be a gunner. Now, how am I going to build this character? Well, I'll tell you the skills once we get to them, but the obvious choice for me was one of two things. You can either keep her ranged or you can keep her melee. She's good at both. You'd have to weapon finesse, obviously, for melee. But, of course, we're keeping her a generic bard all the way to level 20. Nothing wrong with making her melee. She's good at it. Matter of fact, she can tank pretty goddamn good. Being a bard that is a halfling, she'll have the ability to up her armor class a lot of different ways. So, for a frontline tank, say up there with Harem, she could actually pull it off, quite frankly. That's not what this build is going to be. It's going to be, like I said, a run and gun. She's going to be all about casting spells and shooting people in the face and getting a little sneak attack loving besides, as we'll show you later. Because she's so versatile in all her skills, I decided that she's going to be kind of a skill monkey as well. So we're going to invest in everything. And there's a couple unique tricks that we can do, not just counting traits, but other stuff as well, that are only available with our Eldritch Arcana mod, and I want to show you those as well. There's an interesting way to take her, and we're basically going to make her an enchantress. Okay. So, click Bard. Notice that they have a load pre-made build here. Do not do this if you want to control the leveling process for all your characters. If you do it for one, it will assume you want to do it for all of them. I found this out the other day when I did it for Harem, just to speed up his leveling process one day, and to see what they gave him, which was complete and utter garbage, by the way. He was okay. He was nowhere near the build that I just posted, and that build is still kind of bland milk toast. But, again, up to you. I have no idea what hers would be, and I don't want to even find out. I'm just going to do it myself. And again, with me having the mod, there's no way that the pre-made build would have access to all the stuff that came from my mod. So it doesn't know about those feats or traits, and it will not put them in there. So what we're going to do is we're going to go straight up here. Next. Notice the skill points we've immediately put down. These are the ones that they gave you when you picked her up in the first place. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to unlock everything. Because again, until it's unlocked, you don't get the extra +3. Remember, every time you put a point in, so you go see 3. If I put in a point, it should go to 4. Why is it going to 7? Because, again, it's a class skill, the green check mark. And, again, we're 1 away from getting athletics up, so very next level we'll get that up as well. For here, Bard Talents. These are a little weird. And this is, again, why her build is actually so versatile, in my opinion. She has things like Canny Observer, Fast Stealth, and all these other mundane things. Skill Focus is another way to go here. And, again, we will use one of these later on. Weapon Focus is a solid choice, and again, if you want to give her like a heavy crossbow, I'm not going to say no, but you have to have a heavy crossbow for this to work, obviously. So obviously I put that back till later. But Combat Trick is an interesting one. Now I have heard there are some mods out there, for instance, that Combat Trick you can use and use it only once. That's a real bummer because I'm going to use it multiple times. Combat Trick, on the other hand, is an amazing upgrade, and look at the laundry list of crap that you get to pick from here. Basically a variety of fighter-like feats. And again, pretty damn powerful. And even Arcane Strikes up in here, Point Blank Shot, Weapon Finesse, Weapon Focus again. And again, that doesn't matter which one you pick it from. But the point's still the same. There's a variety of things that you can accomplish with Combat Trick, which I thought was pretty damn baller. One of the reasons I actually like Linzi because of the fact that she gets 5 of these bad boys. And again, one will be like a Weapon Focus, one will be a Skill Focus, and then 3 of them will be Combat Trick of some kind, way, shape, or form. But which one Well, I have these mapped out. So the very first one's going to be your point blank shot. I think that she's going to be, again, a ranged attacker. So there's no reason not to capitalize on point blank shot and precise shot, which of course will be here at level 3, as soon as possible. That's clear and obvious choice. When we talk about spells, with this mod, I don't know if they've changed this for the vanilla version of the game or not, so grain of salt with this one, guys. But for one that has the Eldritch Arcana mod, for sure, you get the ability to spec out of spells as you level up for these spontaneous casters, Bard being one. So how does that work? Well, level 4, okay, so their progression is this. They get level 1 spells at level 1. Level 4, so 3 levels later, they can get another spell level. So they get spell level 2 spells. At level 7, again, 3 levels later, they'll get level 3 spells, and on it goes. So at level 4, when they get level 2 spells, at level 5, the very next level, they'll give you an option to spec out of a level 1 spell. And it'll say, hey, do you really want this? So this gives you the opportunity to grab shit like this. Sleep, a terrible spell. An amazing spell early levels, level 2 on up, but look at once they get to 4 HD, you're not affecting anybody once they get to 5 HD. Now this will last you for most of the Chapter 1. But by the end of Chapter 1, you should be level 5 with a full party contingency and everyone going everywhere, and you completing as many of the quests, side quests and stuff as possible before beating the main bad of level or Chapter 1. So everyone should be around level 5, maybe level 6. And again, if Linzi's level 5, then she can spec out of this crappy ass spell by that point. I highly recommend you do so. But until that time, this is money. This could get one or more guys nappy bye time and trivialize many fights. Just like your pen and paper version of D&D and of course Pathfinder, which is what this game is based on, they have coup de grace in this game. Now, Linzi can't do it unless she has a melee weapon. She's using a ranged weapon, so that's not helping her. But she has teammates. Have them go over there after she puts them in nappy bye time and have them do coup de grace. What does coup de grace do? It's a guaranteed hit and a guaranteed crit. So what does that mean? You take your heaviest swinging person like a Miri on our team, who's just a monster barbarian with a big ass hogging sword. Have her go over there, activate coup de grace, which is an ability you have to click on. Click your target. She'll make a big screaming noise and then she'll jump up in the air and chop him with that big ass sword, and it'll do double or triple or whatever normal damage a crit would do with whatever weapon they have equipped. Obviously, this is for your heavy hitters that you want to do the coup de grace, ideally, because the moment you do damage, they wake the fuck back up. If you kill them, then they don't wake the fuck back up. So it solves that problem. But this is a solid choice early on that we will spec out of. Notice, of course, all these other little things that we're going to get, I'm not really going to mention, but like well-versed or like there's jack of all trades, stuff like that is included in the build, and I'm not really going to talk about them, but they are there. It's just more bonuses that bards get that makes them better. So again, we want to finish athletics now. So what are we going to invest in? So now your choices are as follows. First, every character should always get perception without fail. Even if you have only one skill point, it should be every other level you should put it in perception, in my opinion. Everyone needs to find out where the treasure is. Everyone needs to spot hidden traps, hidden doors, and things of this nature are all based on perception. So you want this high. If you can invest in a character and get it all the way to 20 by the end of the build, you should do so, in my opinion. You don't have to go crazy. You don't have to get skills and feats and stuff that literally buff it beyond 20. If you can, hey man, do that thing. Be that super spy-soaking son of a bitch that sees everything. But 20 will get you where you need to go in most cases. And again, if everyone's on the team, everyone has it, everyone's doing that check. So when it comes to an area, you may miss it, the other person may miss it, but a team of 6, someone probably is going to see that trap. Now the question is do you see it before someone triggers the trap? Well, that's kind of a problem. Good news is this game has an auto pause function if you set it. It could be default, but if you set it, for sure, if you see a trap, or anyone sees a trap, the game instantly goes into pause mode, so you don't accidentally step on it. Now, of course, this is not flavorful. This is not, realistic for D&D or Pathfinder style, so I kind of like to shut those off. But you're up to you. If you don't mind it, feel free to do so. But perception is a solid choice for her. It's always going to be 20. On that, let's talk about her skills. What are they going to finish at? I'm going to have 7 points eventually into athletics. Now, points, not totals. 7 points. 3 points in mobility. 5 points in trickery. Stealth is already done. 5 points in Arcana, 20 in Knowledge World. And that's a judgment call. We'll come back to that here in a second. 7 and 7 for Lore Nature, Lore Religion. Perception to 20. Persuasion is going to be only a 5. Use Magic Device will be a 20. You notice I have several 20s here. She can afford it. By the end of her build, with no increases to intelligence for me putting points in it or anything, leaving it at the 14, she'll finish with 100 damn points. So she's going to be fine. So she can literally take 5 things if she wanted to and ignore everything else and make 5 things at level 20 points invested in it. Which, again, you could totally do. Make her a specialist of like Knowledge World, Perception, use Magic Device, and pick 2 other things and max them out. Nothing wrong with that. But I like her being the jack of all trade for this because, again, she really is good at a lot of things. So, why do I have such a weird spread? Why did I make Knowledge World the 20? Well, again, judgment call. It could have been Knowledge Arcana. It could have been Lore Nature or Lore Religion. But it has to be one of these 4. And I'll explain why once we get to that feat pick. Again, it has to do with my mod. But one of these 4, you're going to invest in also something called Skill Focus. So you literally take a skill. It'll give you a +3 to whatever skill we're talking about. Again, in this case, Knowledge World. So we'll add another 3 points to this end. And then if you get 10 points or more invested in it yourself, which means here, then it'll give you another 3. So again, a total of +6. Sounds pretty badass, right? So you can see the appeal. Now, having said all those things, why Knowledge World versus Arcana? I have figured someone on the team is going to be a magic caster type. Usually it's my main. Doesn't have to be, but it could be her. And again, you could make this your main one, make it 20, and use the knowledge, skill, focus, and knowledge arcana. There's nothing wrong with that. But I'm like, no one really does world. And she has enough intelligence to make it worthwhile, because remember, this is getting a bonus from her intelligence. These are intelligence skills. These are dexterity skills. This is the strength one. There's nothing in here that's con. All these 3 here are wisdom skills, which she's not very good at. That's why we really need to pump this to 20. These are charisma skills. So again, she will be a solid 20 here, which is going to be a solid buff with her because we're buffing that charisma. So she's a well-rounded character. Athletics is probably worst category. Notice, well, of course, as well as Lore Nature and Lore Religion, but notice she gets a bonus to athletics because she's a halfling. See the sure-footed racial trait bonus? That's a +2. Kind of offsets the fact that she's at a strength of 8. So that's a -1 penalty to that stat, and then a +2 because of her being a halfling. And again, same with mobility, sure-footed, trickery, nothing there. But notice stealth, because she's a teeny tiny person, she gets a bonus to size category. So she's a +4 to her stealth. That's why it's so goddamn high. So not only is it at 7, it's actually at 11. You see there it says total value up there. That's more important. Keep an eye on that. Don't go by these numbers so much. And this is also where you would have seen if she had like a penalty because of her gear, because she was encumbered, or because she was wearing like heavy armor, something that would have a armor penalty check to it, then literally you would have saw those up there. It's the total value would be less. This is again why I gave her Mithril. This is also why I gave her the strength belt, so that I wouldn't have to see those penalties, and I can go with what I expect to see once she's built out and she has the appropriate gear. Okay, that's the only reason I did that. Now, with all those points invested, then the question is where do we put our next 2 points? Well, again, we can start working on stuff that you're going to get skills. If you shut skill share off, which means that the person that does the skill check gets all of the XP, Linzi can out-level the party. She can actually be level 3 before everyone else is level 3. She can be level 4 before everyone's level, or well, probably when everyone's getting to 3, she'll be right around level 4. So she'll be just slightly ahead of the curve. And again, she's good for that. She's really good for something like this. Now, that may not be your cup of tea, but I do also like having someone that can just pass the damn check anyway. So even if you don't shut off the XP share, or sorry, if you do shut off the XP share, but you don't, you leave it on where everyone's getting the same XP. So she does the disable of the trap. Everyone gets like 9 XP points instead of her getting like 60 or something, right? Then this would be, again, still okay with me. So I'm going to pump trickery. Maybe I'll do 1 trickery, 1 mobility. Maybe I'll do 1 trickery, 1 athletics. Again, on you. But I gave you the solid numbers that you're going to finish with. Run with those numbers. In my case, I know trickery is important, so I'm going to max it out. And we really don't have a thief in the party yet, unless your main is. And as such, having someone that's good at trickery, at least early on, is helpful. So we give it to Linzi to be her job, so to speak. Now, level 3 feat. Again, we already talked about it. We got point blank shot. You know the next thing is going to be precise shot. And they even give you the thumbs up on this category. Again, she's going to be a ranged shooter. That's going to be her job. Yeah, you can give her a weapon, a sword, and a board even for that matter. But there's really no reason to leave it on like maybe the 4th slot. But give her the best heavy crossbow you can find and have her go to town with that son of a bitch. You know, right now it doesn't even matter. Give her a light crossbow, heavy crossbow, javelin, darts, whatever's a ranged weapon for her category is fine. But by and large, this is a solid upgrade for her because, again, she's going to be firing into melee. Someone like Harem and Amiria will be in the front ranks, and she'd normally suffer -4 to her attack roll. even with that high dexterity, even with it being close range so she gets that point blank shot bonus, she'd still be at a goddamn penalty, and that straight up sucks. So take the penalty away. That's what we did there. Level 1, another spell. After getting, flip to my sheet here, after getting sleep, and again, we're going to take that away eventually. It's okay. The other ones, I'm going to read you the whole list. You can kind of decide on yourself when you're going to grab them. So sleep is going to be wiped out eventually. Ear-piercing, screaming, and cure light wounds were given to you, and I highly recommend you keep them. We'll give her the first 4 heals at level 1, level 2, level 3, and level 4. She'll get all the cure spells. Not the AoE ones, but enough that she's kind of a pocket healer if she needs to be. Ear-piercing scream, it's always nice to have at least a spell at every category for a bard, if possible, that does damage. You don't have to go crazy with it, because that's really not her bread and butter, but sometimes it comes in handy, especially at range when you just need to drop somebody. An auto-hit move is an auto-hit move. Again, ear-piercing scream being an example of this. So we're going to keep those. The other 3, because you will finish with a total of 6. Well, the 4, I should say, because we're taking away sleep. The other 4 will include, in no particular order, Hideous Laughter, a solid spell from start to finish. Sleep's AoE, though, Hideous Laughter single target. That's why I'll replace Sleep with Hideous Laughter. Again, when this becomes useless, or pretty damn close to being useless, then I'll swap it out for something that is useful all the time. Even if it's single target, that's still money. From there, we'll take stuff like Grease, right here. We'll take a spell like Flare Burst, right there. This is a solid AoE. Dazzle the target for a decent amount of time. Once they fail that save, they're just at a -1 penalty to their swing. It's very, very nice. Very, very friendly. It's not teammate friendly. Be careful of that. But again, it's one of those where you benefit the whole team by flare bursting a group of bad guys at the start of, say, a fight. From there, the last one to pick was a weird one that we don't normally think about. A buff called Unbreakable Heart. Now notice we could have done, say, Remove Fear, AoE, Long Lasting, a teammate buff, basically gives them resistance or better bonuses to saves against fear for a variety of things. Notice if the subject's under the fear effect, when receiving the spell, we actually suppress it. That's kind of trippy, a little weird that you can make a save or you can suppress the effect after the effect. I don't know, whatever. But the point is, that's a solid choice. This one's kind of similar, but it's single target, doesn't last very long. But notice this one. +4 morale bonus on all saving throws that are mind effects that rely on negative emotions, which include things like Crushing Despair, a spell that we will get, Rage, a spell we will not get, or Fear effects, which again is what this one did, but AoE style. So this is still just as good, but for only one person. Also stuff like Confusion, which again is money, because if you ever get into a fight where a bad guy turns like one of your Amiris or your main DPSs into a confused character, you can get your ass handed to you. And it's just because she had the bad will save. But notice this, if the target is already under such effect, again, it suppresses it for the duration of the spell, which again, this is something that I could use on a confused or a feared target. Basically what I'm doing is I'm giving Linzi the ability to take us out of those status effects, if you will. Now, of the spells that we've talked about, again, Hideous Laughter will come about once I replace Sleep, so that's at level 5, I believe. So what am I going to grab? Well, I'm going to grab Grease. Grease is a great spell from start to finish. It never gets bad. It's always good. It's kind of problematic in that it's in your way, but with my mod, I have the ability to make, or one of my mods, I have the ability to make the AoE effect go away. So it's a dispel effect. I press a button, and ping, bingo, bango, it disappears from the map. And I can do that in combat, which I won't do. But I can also do it out of combat, which I definitely will do just to speed up some things. And you can set that mod for a variety of things. You can, like I said, set it up for where you can dismiss things in combat, which I think is cheating. Out of combat, which I don't mind. And you can also have it where out of combat, you dismiss it, but instead of it just being like an instantaneous dismissal, let's say the Grease is there. What does it say right now for this thing? It's like a minute per. Let's at level 3, so let's say it's up for 3 minutes. So let's say the fight takes you a full minute. It's up there for 2 more minutes because you cast it at the start of the fight, right? So you got 2 more minutes of standing there waiting for this Grease to go away because everybody's slippy sliding on your team and it's causing you problems. If you dismiss it with the mod, you can set it up where instead of it being an instantaneous effect, it just burns 2 minutes out of the clock and makes it go away the natural way. And again, that's probably more thematic pen and paper style. I don't like that, but you can do that. Again, if you're a stickler for the rules, feel free to do so. The reason that you would do that, again, is because, again, you're not supposed to be able to, quote-unquote, dismiss your spells in this way free. Dispel Magic, Greater Dispel Magic should do that trick. But again, only one of those actually works for AoE effects, and that's Dispel Magic. And it doesn't always work. So you could set it up that way. What do I mean by burning the clock? Literally, all your buffs that are on you, let's say you had something like Vanish on your character, only for 5 rounds. Let's say you had Vanish you just put on yourself. That's 30 seconds of buff at max buff, right? Well, that's gone now. If you had another buff on you, say like Shield Spell, which is a minute per caster level, much like Grease, you've just burnt up 2 or 3 minutes or whatever by fast forwarding the clock, so to speak, on that buff. So your buffs are wearing off. Again, that's the reason I don't do it, because I don't like that stuff. But again, on you. Keep going, Bard. Charisma always, except for the very last one, will be into Strength. Perception always. Trickery. Let's see, how high were we going to take you, you little goober? Trickery goes to 5, so I don't mind investing it until we get to 5. And I don't mind investing a little bit into, say, mobility and athletics, because again, we were going to take those up. Mobility actually goes to 3, and it's done, so we're actually going to take it to 3 and call it quits. Okay? But perception always. Always, always, always perception. Level 2. We have spells now for level 2. My list, again, I'll read just the list, and we'll just decide as we level up. Again, it'll be on you to decide when the best chances are to grab these. But if the list includes Hold Person, let me show them to you. Hold Person, this will be one you spec out of, because you're going to get Hold Monster. It's better. You can keep this one. It's not the worst idea to have 2 different hold spells, but again, Hold Monster's stronger. It's a higher level casting, so there's the reason you probably don't like it. But again, Hold Person's good. Hold Monster's better. I suggest you spec out of it. What would we grab in its place? Something like Glitter Dust, an AoE move that can blind targets. And again, remember I told you she's going to be a sneak attacker? I know it sounds weird, but she has the ability to do that. How can she do that? Oh, there it is, Sense Vittles. Again, a solid spell. Now, how do you set up sneak attack damage? We need to talk about this. Well, here, first, let me finish my list. I shouldn't deviate from the list too much. So, Sense Vittles, Glitter Dust we mentioned already. And again, we're going to replace Hold Person with Glitter Dust later. Blur for some protection for yourself. We'll also grab the Cure spell. Remember I said we grab all the first 4 of them. So Cure Moderate Wounds eventually will be on your list. And then 2 others at the bottom here. We have Mirror Image for some other protection, akin to Blur, but not quite the same. And the last one is an attack. Remember I said if you can get an attack at every level, even if it's kind of lame, sometimes it just helps. This is an attack, Sound Burst. And again, sets up AoE stun. Not teammate friendly, lame ass damage, but if you can stun 1 or more guys, again, now they're susceptible to sneak attack. Aha! Now let's talk about that sneak attack. How do we set up sneak attack, Brother Mutant? If the target's incapacitated, paralysis spell like Hold Person, Hold Monster, Chains of Light, Icy Prison, there's a variety, there's a snake one out there, I just can't think of the snake coils or whatever. And again, they're all paralysis spells. If they're paralyzed, then they're sneak attackable, because they have no dexterity bonus. Their dexterity is considered 0. So that's a key feature. If they're stunned, again, just like Sound Burst does, for the time that they're stunned, which isn't long, if they're stunned, they're sneak attackable. Not dazed, not dazzled, those don't count. They can still defend themselves. Even something like Hideous Laughter, which is an amazing spell, I don't have it, but a level 2 or level 1 spell called Hideous Laughter will make them fall to the ground laughing their asses off. They can still defend themselves, so that's not sneak attackable just because of that. So be real clear. But if they're slept, that's sneak attack damage, baby. So again, she has the ability to set this up a variety of ways. Again, here's Ear Piercing Scream, but it only does daze. Daze, they can still defend themselves. They just will not attack, but they will defend themselves. So again, know which spells are ones that are going to set you up for sneak attack is my point. And that's what this build is about. So again, solid upgrade, and I highly recommend you grab Sense Vitals as soon as possible. The fact that it doesn't last long kind of suck, but she's a spontaneous caster, so when you really can capitalize on it, feel free to buff yourself up and sneak attack to your heart's content. These fights don't last very long. You're already having it last for 4 rounds. If you have an extend meta magic that you can slap on there like a rod, or in our case we grab the meta magic extended spell feat, which we will get very late in the build, definitely double the duration of this thing. You'll appreciate it. 25. Perception always. Trickery we said would go into 5, right? And then it said it'd be done. Yes. Mobility's already done. And I'm going to pump up athletics till it gets to 7, so it's done. And then we'll start investing in all these low stuff. The reason I'm capitalizing on the ones on top first is because, again, Linzi's really good at your skill checks. She can buff herself, and with some teammates helping you with like a heroism spell, or there's a guidance spell in the game that clerics have access to, where they can give a +1 to their skill check. She can really get a lot of these tricks if she's not wearing like the heaviest armor. So again, take the armor off, do the skill check, put the armor back on as a typical trick for most people. That's why, again, you want to get this to 7 to 3 to 5 to 1 ASAP. And again, you may think that stealth is kind of falling behind. Look at that +4 from size. It's not falling behind. It's perfectly fine. And when you throw in vanish or invisible or greater invis, any of those three work, it's a +20 to this number over here. So you're doing really good with stealth. Don't feel bad. It's not the best stealth ever, but you will be fine with it. Now, level 5, notice that we have the ability to replace a spell. Always check this. There is one time only, that we will not replace a spell. Actually, maybe two. At level, let's see, 17 would be level 6 spells, so level 18 you won't. They even give you an option at level 20 to replace spells again, and you won't. Because I just picked the spells that I want by that point. Everything else you want to check. So your sleep, you just click it, and leave it there like that, and again, it'll give you a level 1 spell to repick. And again, you can make the mistake of repicking it. Don't do that, obviously. For our feat pick, though, at level 5, what are we going to grab? We are going to grab a weapon focus, finally. Come get yourselves that heavy crossbow, baby. Boom. Now, if you don't have one by this point, you should have picked up a masterwork heavy crossbow at low legs for her. Early level. And the reason you go for the heavy versus the light, it doesn't matter for her as far as skill. You could have gone light and be perfectly fine. But remember, because she's a smaller size category, the weapon becomes a smaller size category, which means that the light crossbow does even less damage, so does the heavy crossbow. So giving her the heavy is no real penalty for her other than it's heavy, and that she literally, as long as she can carry it, she can shoot that just as good as the light, and it does a tiny bit more damage. And that's the only real reason we went with a heavy one. And there's some good heavy crossbows in the game, of course, too. So here's our level 1 spell, the repick. And again, we've already talked about this, so I'm just going to go for the list and grab something. Again, I'm not going to decide what the best one is. You will decide that yourself. But I'll just pick something on the list and move on. Same with level 2. What are we going to grab from here? List. I like glitter dust. And again, just to emphasize why some of these spells are on the list. Glitter dust. AoE blind if you're lucky enough for it to land. Two things that it does. One, if they fail their will save, they're blinded for the duration of the spell. Which doesn't last long, but that's sneak attack love right there. And just a general, even if you don't have sneak attack, a better chance to hit them, period. So of course you want to blind your targets. The other is, and even if they make their save, doesn't matter, they get coated with dust and it makes them non-stealthy, which means it lights them up like a goddamn Christmas tree so you can see those little sneaky little ninja bastards. So glitter dust is an amazing spell. Teammate not friendly. Just be clear on that. There we go. On 6 bard. Perception. This is not done. Remember, it needs to get to 7, but now we have extra points to invest, and these ones are done. So now, what were we going to invest in? We were going to use magic device, get to 20, so I'll put a point in that just to remind me. We're going to get knowledge world to 20, so I'll put a point in that just to remind me. The other point, let's just do it in the knowledge world, I suppose. Now, level 6 bard talent is going to be a very weird one under combat trick called Dazzling Display. This is another thing that we're going to use to help set us up for sneak attack love. This one will terrify targets. You do an intimidation check, which she's not great at. That's not the point here. But she could be if we wanted to. I could have pumped persuasion to be a 20 and have her just be an intimidating son of a bitch. But it's weird to do this because this is an AoE move. It takes a long time for you to activate. Now it used to be that you could spam the damn thing damn near back to back to back, but now it takes a full round. I'm still fine with that. But we need this to pick up another feat called Shatter Defenses, and that's the one you want. So level 2, I'm going to grab on my list Blur. Let's get some protection for her finally. Now we have the Fascinate ability as well, which I never use. We're going to use Perception. Get you done. Remember, we want to make sure that that's a 7. Is that correct? Yes, 7, 3, 5, 1. Those are all finished now. Now, oops, sorry. Let's get these caught up, like so. And eventually we'll get these guys caught up to the 7, and then we'll start working on the 1s. And again, as you need. If you feel like, oh, I'm missing a lot of Arcana checks and she could be the one doing it, then go for that. But I want you to see something here. Notice the total value is 9, not 6. Why? See the Bardic Knowledge? It's not counting it until after the fact. Bardic Knowledge is the reason that she's our skill monkey. So it works for Lore Religion, Lore Nature, Knowledge World, and Knowledge Arcana. All of them. So long as she's unlocked them, she gets a bonus to her knowledge, or to her knowledge and lores, equal to half her bard level rounded down. So at level 7, she's only getting 3. So 7 divided by 2 is 3.5, round down. That's why you're seeing bardic knowledge 3 there. Bam, bam, bam. So all those get in a bonus. Well, now think about what that means by the end of the build. At level 20, divide by 2. That's a plus 10 to all 4 of these stats, and all she had to do was put 1 point in those goddamn bastards. And of course, we're going to put more. So again, this is why she's your skill monkey. These will be really good. This will be amazeballs, and probably to the point where I want to look kind of crazy with it. So again, if you're feeling like 20 on here is too high, make this one 15 and put 5 more into, say, Knowledge Arcana or Lore Nature or Lore Religion, whatever you want to do. But by and large, I made her an expert at something. And I figured since we're getting skill focus in Knowledge World, why not push that one to 20? But again, on you. Now, feat-wise, at level 7, we're going to pick up our ability to Rapid Shot. Boom, right there. So again, an extra arrow, or bolt, excuse me. We're using a crossbow. Sadly, because it's a crossbow, little sip, I believe, and I haven't really tested this in a long time, so I probably should, but I'm not gonna. There is a feat that we don't have access to until you get Rapid Shot, so I need to go find it for you. But it starts with an M, called Mini Shot. Mini Shot works with a bow. If it says bow, you can pretty much trust that the devs kept it realistic. Only bows get this ability. So you shoot an arrow, the first arrow that goes out, if it hits its mark, another arrow follows it. And it guarantees another hit. So you get 2 arrows for the price of 1, basically, but only on the first strike. So that's what Mini Shot does. And that's a staple, but she's not a bow person, she's a crossbow person, and as such, it won't work. At least it didn't in the past, and I assume that's still the same. So Mini Shot is not going to be on the list. Deadly Aim, however, will be much later. Level 1, I'm going to pick another spell from my list. It's going to be... Let's grab that Unbreakable Heart. I like the ability to protect myself from fear and my teammates as well, and this is a solid way to do that. It's a little late, but again, compared to some of the other stuff, you could have swapped it around. Again, on you. Level 3 spells now. New stuff. Okay, level 3. The 6 spells I have, plus the 7th that you're going to swap out. You're going to swap out of this one. So we're going to take it right now is my point. Deep Slumber. Basically, the big brother is asleep. And for the same reason, you're going to swap out, because eventually you're going to out-level its usefulness. You see the HD cap on that bastard? 10 HD. Sleep spell's 4. That's why we swapped out of it as soon as we could. This one here is replacing it, and again sets it up the same exact feat, same exact spell power. So we can literally put a AoE group of bad guys, teammate-friendly bad guys, to sleep. Also cast it at your feet if they rush your ass. They go nappy nap, bye-bye time, and now it's coup de grace time, bitches. Or sneak attack, love for her, again, because she has her sense vittles up, probably. But you see the appeal. And again, eventually you will out-level its usefulness. You're at level 7 right now, so the bad guys are probably at 5, 6, 7 HD anyway. Maybe more, maybe less. But once you get to the point where you can spec it out, which would be level 11, that's perfectly fine. Spec it out and train it up for one of these other ones. What's the other ones? Well, let me tell you. Cure Serious. Again, all the Cure spells, level 1 through 4, remember. So Cure Serious, Good Hope, which is an amazing buff, teammate-friendly buff. Solid morale bonus. It's like heroism, but better. So not only is it a saving throw bonus, an attack bonus, it's also ability check bonus, skill check bonus, weapon damage bonus, and it will dispel Crushing Despair. So if someone hits you with this spell, which is another spell that's on our list, Crushing Despair, or actually, it's not on my list. Why did I not take Crushing Despair? Oh, because I took... Okay. Fair enough. Anyway, a solid contender. You could swap out one of these choices for this, in my opinion. Crushing Despair is basically the antithesis of Good Hope. It is literally the opposite in every way, shape, or form. The downside is it's a cone instead of AoE, and it's not teammate friendly, so watch that shit. But this is a good way to set up bad guys. But I didn't pick it. Why didn't I not pick it? The other ones that I had picked on my list were Haste for obvious reasons, AoE, extra attack around, stacks with your Rapid Shot, so that's beautiful. So you can see that she's going to do lots and lots of bolt, and so is the team. Better armor, reflex save bonuses, better speed, all these things are a win. And also spell, slow spell. And on that, that's the other spell we're going to grab, slow spell. Now, if you wanted to take out one of these spells that I'm talking about, haste, slow, overwhelming grief, and fear are the ones that I'm going to mention to you. You could probably convince me to get rid of, say, fear for Crushing Despair, or slow for Crushing Despair. Why? Because they're both AoE moves, so you're not really losing out that way. Overwhelming Grief is single target, and you'd be like, why not get rid of a single target one for a nice AoE debuff? Because this thing is amazeballs. Overwhelming Grief, just to walk you through this one. It doesn't last very long, but so what? Your fights never do anyway. Mind affecting spell, an enchantment. Remember, she's an enchantress. That's going to be important later. So it's the spell category that we care about. It's a massive penalty to their armor. And notice this part. Lose their dex bonus, if any. This makes them flat-footed. This spell. Single target. Fucks them completely for sneak attack love. Just a beautiful fuck you to the bad guys. So if they fail this check, they make a check each round. But until they pass that check, they are sneak attack potential. And that's beautiful. And that's all it really does for you. They literally just get completely screwed by this one spell. And that's awesome. And then yes, Crushing Despair AoE could impact more guys. It's because it's AoE, but it could also infect your team, so you have to be careful. It's just a penalty. -2, -2, -2, minus. And again, there's no real ability skill checks that they really care about. That's not entirely true. For example, a web spell. Once they failed their saving throw in a web spell to get entangled in it, to get out of it, they don't make another saving throw because they're already in the spell. They do an ability check or a skill check to break out of it. It's like an athletics check or a strength check or dexterity check or something like that. But again, here's a penalty to those things. So this is still useful. Don't kid yourself. And really, the bonuses you care about are these three. The attack rolls, the damage rolls, and the saving throws. You've just screwed them for their chance to hit you, the damage they do when they do hit you, and their ability to save against any of the other spells you're going to hit them with. So you can see how this is a solid choice. I can't believe I didn't pick it. But I did like Slow. If I honestly would be honest with you, Slow would be the one I'd probably get rid of. But again, on you. Slow's still good. Slow's still solid. And it's teammate friendly. No reason I like it. Keep going. Bard. Again, now it's level 8. Remember, we just got level 3 spells. So guess what's going to show up? That's right. The ability to swap out a level 2 spell. Let's get ourselves another charisma bump. Better DC checks. More spells a day. Look at the 5, 5, 3. Let's see. Did it go up? No, because the bonus would have been this one here. But again, you will see it once you get to level 4 spells. So again, it's retroactive. Let's keep putting perception up. We always know that. These ones are done. Don't have to touch them again. Let's get these guys up at least one each. One each again. Sure, why not? Might as well get them caught up with our other guy, right? Not keeping spells. We're replacing spells. What spell were we replacing? It's a level 2 spell called Hold Person. There it is. And it feels bad to lose it, but before too long, you're going to have Hold Monster. Trust me. So level 2 replacement. Let's see what we got already. Sense Violence, Glitter, Dust, Blur. Let's get that Cure Moderate, yeah? Let's get us some healing going. Yeah. Level 3, Good Hope. Got a nice buff for me and my team. Long lasting, no less. That's a 1 minute per caster level. You got an 8 minute buff. That's a solid buff. Kid you not. Deep Slumber, again, we'll replace that later, but until that time, what are we going to grab now? Level 3, let's get ourselves, what do you think? Overwhelming Grief, maybe you want that haste. Get a little of that fear going. Well, let's take a look at my feats here. When am I grabbing that Shatter Defenses? That's coming up soon, isn't it? Yes, it's coming at level 9. So let's grab Fear. And it's because of this that this works for this build. Same with Dirge of Doom. Notice what this does. Okay, Growing Dread, targets become shaken. To be effective, the enemy must be within 30 feet and able to hear the bard's performance, which means they can't be deaf. The effect persists, or have ears, obviously. The effect persists for as long as the enemy is within 30 feet. Continues the performance. Remember, she can activate these things and then still attack eventually in that combat, right? So if she scares them, shakens them, which is what this does, the next feat that we pick at level 9 is called Shatter Defenses, and that little monster is what's going to capitalize on her sneak attack love. So let's get these guys up some more. Almost caught up. And this is where you grab your Shatter Defenses at level 9. You gotta find it, because they don't give you the thumbs up. But that's this guy. And why is this guy? Because if they're shaken, which we just said that we can do, 2 different ways. We have a spell, Fear, that can do it, and we have this Dirge of Doom, whatever, that can do it as well. Shaken or Frightened or Panic, which is just the upgraded versions, nothing fancy there. They are flat-footed until the end of their turn. So keep them shaken, keep them frightened or panicked. Any of those things still works, and she's still catching them flat-footed, which is beautiful. Her and her alone. But with her weapon of choice, the weapon focus for her heavy crossbow, which is why you give her that and never give her anything different. She will literally start chewing them up for damage, and then if you throw on that Sense Vitals on her, or buff it up where she has it for extended periods of time, which is ideal, she'll get sneak attack love per attack because they're already scared of her. That's money. And you see what we just did for you right there? We made her a solid damage dealer at range. Now, Level 3 spell. We're going to grab ourselves, we'll see, we got Good Hope, Fear. I say it's time to get ourselves that other heal. Let's get the Cure Seers in there. You know you want it. Inspire Greatness, it's a lame buff that you can toggle on. Oh, that's soothing performance. We basically give them temp HP. Their Constitution modifier gets thrown on top of them as well. 2 confidence bonus to attack rolls as well as to fortitude save. So they get a better chance to swing and a better fortitude save. So there's some use here, but by and large, you're probably using this guy because this one's just going to steadily get better. Right now, it's at +2 to your attack and your damage. Why would you want to chink away from your damage potential? Again, there's reasons to want these other ones, but usually I stick with the tried and true buffs. This one's amazing and gets nothing but better. This one's amazing for your skill checks and gets nothing but better. And then you have the flavor of the month kind of stuff where it's like, oh, I want to scare them. Oh, I want to fascinate them. Oh, I want to make them completely terrified of me or die. So you get the appeal here. Keep going, Bard. Level 10. Get you guys caught up. Beautiful. Now these will always get a point. Boom, 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 without fail. And now we can start investing in Arcana. Notice again, while you think, oh, this one sucks at +6. Remember, it's +6 plus the level of your Bard divided by 2, so +5 more. So we're actually adding 11 on this. See that? And then over here we're at a 9. And another 9. So again, we're not horrible. And there's probably someone else on the team that's covering this. But as she builds into these will get better too. And then she can kind of take over the role from other people. There still might be someone on the team, like Harem, for example, might be better at religion always. But by and large, if she can, she should be someone that you should consider for doing a skill check. And it gives you the flexibility, I should point that out too. Remember, I keep talking about how, well, what happens when Harem's not on the team? This is why we make her a pocket healer. This is why we give her skills in more religion. So again, she can kind of fill the role. She's not as good as him, but she can kind of take over a little bit so you can level someone else up or adjust your party composition in a way that, like, I always want to see what the alchemist could do. Well, of course, bring his happy ass in here. This is the whole point of having a bard on the team, the flexibility. Now, 10, we're going to pick up our first and only skill focus. And again, it has to be one of the knowledges or one of the lores. We already said which one we wanted, knowledge world. Notice again, it's a +3 if you've invested so much as 1 point in it. If you get 10 ranks or more in it, which we just put 10 in there, you get a +6. So we're getting a solid increase to that little bastard right goddamn now. And again, you don't have to pick this one. If you really feel Knowledge Arcana was your thing and you've been leveling up Knowledge World, this could be a solid kick in the ass for that one. 6 level points up. That's a big boost. Well, 3. But still, that's a big, big jump. And again, I could see the appeal. But up to you. I decided to make her an expert at Knowledge World as the Bard. Level 2. What other spells we got for you, buddy? Let's get that damaging spell. Sound Burst. Remember, sets up Sneak Attack Love and the fact that it is a stun. If they fail the check and they take... they take full damage. And if they succeed in the Fortitude check, they're not stunned. If they fail the check, then they're stunned. So they still take the 1d8 damage. That's lame damage, I'll grant you. It's AoE, though, not teammate friendly. But again, if it sets up that stun, that's really kind of the goal. And it is an evocation spell, not an enchantment. I was going to say enhancement. Not an enchantment. Remember, enchantment's going to be her cup of tea. So that's not helping us either. But I still appreciate the extra little spike of damage. And Sonic's not heavily resisted. It's AoE. And if I stun at least one guy, it's done its job. Level 4. What's our spell list for level 4? We have Rainbow Pattern. Let's grab the first one, the one that we're going to spec out of. Rainbow Pattern. Then we have things like Greater Invis for setting up Sneak Attack Love. You'll grab things like Dimension Door. You'll get Hold Monster right there. Remember, that's a beautiful one and we just got rid of Hold Person. This would be one that you'd want. Matter of fact, I almost want this now, but I know that I want Greater Invis. I'll grab Hold Monster next, though, for sure. Shout. Again, another one that's a stun. AoE stun, no less. And again, useful for setting up some Sneak Attack Love and doing some decent-ish damage, even if it's kind of lame. It's not teammate friendly, but again, it's a decent spell for a damaging type. And then Shout, Hold Monster, Dimension Door, Cure Critical, of course, our last heal, and Freedom of Movement right down here. Just make you or a teammate immune to a variety of effects like impediments, slows, slows, immobilizes, paralysis spells like Hold Person, Hold Monster. This is an amazing buff. and again, the reason we're specking out a rainbow pattern in case it wasn't clear is rainbow pattern is a lot like the other sleep spells that we talked about. It's an illusion spell, but it's one of those where it wears off for its utility later on because there's a cap, for an HD cap. And again, once you get to that point, then it's a useless spell. The fact that we can spec out of it, that's the reason. So take it when you can use it, in my opinion. Level 11. Always going those guys up now. Remember, those are the three we're taking to 20, 20, and 20. Right? Now, it's just a matter of getting these guys up. And what were we going to do with them? It doesn't really much matter. I'm putting them to, see, it's going to be a 5 here, 7, 7, 5. That's it. So honestly, I should probably do like this to get these guys 2 ahead. So I should take this to 3, 3, and then do 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, and just keep going that way. Just make it easier on myself. Nope, replacing a spell. This is going to be your level 3 spell. What are we replacing? Was Deep Slumber. Boom. Get rid of it. And now we're going to grab a feat. It's level 11. Time to grab ourselves. So, remember that skill feat we just picked up? This unlocks something with my Eldritch Arcana mod that you guys didn't know about, probably. Called Eldritch Heritage. Look at this little bastard. First, let me highlight the whole damn thing. Notice there's a laundry list of shit you could have grabbed for skill focuses. Okay, so you could have gone athletics, lore, religion. You could have gone any lore and any knowledge skill. This is the one we're actually going with. That's why I said you wanted to pick any of those 4, because it would unlock this guy. Lore, religion, if you want to go celestial. There's a perception skill focus if you want to go draconic. And there's some that work, some that don't. And I need to talk to you about this real quick. Did I write that down? I tested it. Where did I write that down? There it is. Okay, so let's talk about this. I know this is going to make the video extra long, but this is important, okay? Because I don't want you to say, oh, I wanted to totally be a dragon that breathes fire and has all these other cool shit that goes with it. Okay, that's cool, and I totally dig it. You'd have to get the perception instead of the skill focus that I picked. But it's just fine. Just swap it out. And again, you can grab it down here. So all these are available here. You could have done whatever you needed. But some of these are broken, and I need to talk about that. So first, there are 4 upgrades to talk about. First one you get here is Eldritch Heritage. Okay, that's the one I'm picking here. As you can see, I'm going to pick Arcane Bloodline. And it'll give me a choice of an Arcane Bond, which means a spell a day, an extra spell that I can just say, nope, I want that spell back. And since you're a spontaneous caster, that's any spell level back, just once a day. So if I get to level 6 spells down here, I can literally say, cast a level 6 spell. You know what? Arcane Bond. I have my level 6 spell back. All of them. Because again, you're a spontaneous caster. That's awesome. But that's only 1 spell a day. And I shouldn't minimize that. That's a spell a day. That's an extra spell. That's some power shit right there. But I'm like, you know what? You never get a chance at a familiar. So I'm going to grab Hair. Why? All the familiars are a +2 to your perception. All of them will. So you have a bonus to your perception. Remember, we're maxing your perception out as well. And she has keen senses because she's a halfling, which I never mentioned. But that's an obvious upgrade then. This is another upgrade. She's spotting shit left and right, baby. But then, this is the only one that gives a bonus to initiative. You can do the other shit. There's ones in here that give you an extra armor class bump. Some that'll give you like a fortitude bump. There's ones here that'll give you a will save bump. There's a variety of shit here. Ones that give you bonuses to various skills, like stealth, or extra HP, or a lore nature bonus. Again, on you. But I'm like, you know what? I need her to act first. As often as possible. We're not bumping her in dexterity at all. This would be another way to buff your initiative. And I'm like, you know what? Well, I mean, of course, without gear, I mean. But naturally, as we level up is what I mean. So her dexterity is always going to be that lame-ass 16. This is a nice, solid upgrade. This is a big, big jump for her to act. At least not, maybe not first, but not last. Okay? And it's always on. The familiar doesn't have to be out for this to be working. I usually leave them out, but if it shuts off, don't worry about it. You still get the buff. Point is, this is a solid upgrade. Now, back to my point, though, back here. All these other ones that you could have picked, let's actually go back. Get my full list. All these other ones you could pick, let's talk about the ones that work and that don't work. Abyssal. Okay, again, athletics or lore religion, either of those will unlock it. You can get both, but you don't have to. Just get one. Probably lore religion, in my opinion. But, well, I'll actually take that back, athletics, because this one will actually give you strength bonuses. So this one actually does work, but not for everything. So there's, like I said, 4 upgrades. There's the first upgrade, the one that I'm picking now. Then you can pick another feat later that's improved Eldritch Heritage. That'll show up later. Matter of fact, it'll show up at the very next level if you want, because it's tied to like level 11, then the next one's tied to level 17. So you can get improved twice, and the reason you can get it twice is because there's always two different categories in there. And then the fourth one is the best one, which is usually, anyway, it's the greater heritage. That's only available at level 17. To do this, you'll notice that not only do you have to have a skill of something, you also have to have a charisma. And the charisma requirements get better. So it's 13, that gets you the first one. If you get to like 15, you can get to the second one. And then if you want to get to the big one, you gotta be like 16 or 17. Which we were gonna do anyway. So again, no big deal. But for Abyssal, the first one will give you claws. The second upgrade, you have a choice between damage resistances. That doesn't work. That's like a fire resistance, the elemental resistance that all Abyssal son of a bitches would have. That doesn't work. I've tested it. But the other one, that one that gives you the bonus to your strength, it's like a +2, then another +2, then another +2. So a final build will yield you a +6 to your strength if you go this route. That works. That one does work, and that's only 2 feet dips into it. Well, technically 3, because you had to get your athletics or your lower religion. So you get 1 feat here, this feat here, Eldritch Heritage, and then the improved Eldritch Heritage for the strength buff. 3 feats, boom, you just gave yourself a +6 to your strength. Can't tell me that's not going to be fun when I do Linzi again and make her the tank son of a bitch that's up front with big ass fucking sword and board. You better believe I'm going that way. But the fourth one, the greater heritage, the one that you get at level 17 or higher, it would normally give you a bonus to your summons. It does not work. And she has summons too, so it kind of sucked. Because I'm like, oh, I'll make her a fucking, frontline tank son of a bitch with pets that she can summon up the yin yang, man. That'll be fun. And it doesn't work. And I'm like, well, poo. Which just means I don't take that feat. And again, that's okay. It just sucks. It just gives me a feat back to do something else. And I can actually, because all that feat really is I think it's called superior summoning. If I wanted to make her a summoner, I would want augmented summoning anyway. So you get spell focus, conjuration, augment summoning, that's another feat, and then superior summoning unlocks naturally anyway. So I don't need greater heritage for that one. I can do it the old-fashioned way. And again, I have yet to finalize that build. But that's a solid choice. So again, only 2 of these work for Abyssal. The Arcane Bloodline, the one that we're actually going for, the Bond and the Familiar both work. So pick your poison, whichever of the 2 you want. And again, my choice here, I'm going to do with the Familiar. The next one, there's 2, remember, for the improved. The middle version ones, there's always 2. The one that's the concentration bump works. That's the one we're taking. And then the extra spells does not work. Total bummer, because I would have loved to have 3 wizard spells. Would have been fucking tits. But it doesn't work. By the way, on the concentration one, it's a 2-parter. It's a concentration buff, as well as a meta magic adept, which again is part of this mod, I think. So that doesn't work, but that's a shame. But the concentration bump still works, and again, so it's still progress in the right direction. The reason we're doing that one though is because you have to have the improved, one of the 2 improved versions, to grab the greater heritage version at level 17. So it's again a steady process, not just charisma. You have to have the better Eldritch heritage before it. And that unlocks for us one that's called School Power. School Power is one where you pick any school, and it's a +2 to the DC check of that school. Guess what school we're picking, class? That's right, Enchantress, bitch. So it's all about the enchantment. She's going to be amazing at it. Not only should she get a +2 from this, I'm even going to get her a spell focus enchantment on this build. I could go crazy and go greater spell focus. They will stack. I could get a total +4 to her enchantment spells. It's probably overkill, and it definitely is going to be. So I'm only going to do spell focus, the School Power for enchantment. So it'll be a solid +3. High charisma, which will increase her enchantment BC check again as well, and then any gear that I can give her that would buff her enchantments, her mind affecting spells, or fear spells, all that stuff that falls under enchantment. So again, she's going to be an enchantress. That's the reason we're doing that. Now, these other ones, Celestial, straight up broken. Not a goddamn thing works. Don't bother. Draconic does work, but not for all of them. It works. The first one gives you claws, lame, but it's there. The second upgrade, there's 2 of them. Remember, number 2 and number 3 is a breath weapon. Does work. Awesome. And you get quite a few of them, like 4, I think, by the end of your build a day. And that's like 20d6 of whatever type of dragon you pick for damage. So fire, electric, acid, or cold. And then you get the other upgrade. You get resistances to whatever element we're talking about. So again, if you're a fire type dragon, you have some fire resistances. And armor class. And those work, both of them. That's awesome. So again, level 1 upgrade for claws works. Level 2 and level 3 work. Level 4, the greater heritage, is wings. It doesn't work. So you don't get them, so don't bother. And that's a bummer. But if you went Asimar for a bard, or for whatever character we're talking about, if you went Asimar and picked it, you could get wings anyway at level 10. So, this sucks. But that just means you don't grab the greater heritage at level 17. You grab something else. That's fine. And again, I love the Dragon's Breath. I love the extra armor. I love the extra resistances. The claws I could do without, but I have to get it to unlock it. And again, it's cool. And it's a perception buff skill that you're grabbing anyway. Who doesn't love having more perception? It's a solid choice. Elemental Bloodline now. Straight up busted for every category. And there's 4 choices for 4 different elements. Your air, earth, water, and fire. I only checked the air one, the electric one. It didn't work for any of them, I assume. It's on me, but I assume that all 4 of them are busted, so don't bother. Fey Bloodline is straight up broken. I don't even write down what the hell they gave you because it's busted and more busted. One of them, I think, was spell resistance. You get spell pen at the greater heritage level. It's like a +2 natural spell pen. Didn't work at all. And then again, I can test that, so it's one of those where I did check it. But the other stuff was like you can like you do like a hideous laughter, but it's a touch attack. Didn't work. Wasn't even there in your tray. And then there's another thing besides that was this. It didn't work. So I'm like, fuck it. Infernal Bloodline. Completely busted. Nothing works. Serpentine Bloodline. The fangs work. That's the first one. And it works to the point where once you get to level 20, which is weird, it upgrades no less. At first, you have to pick what type of poison your fangs do. So does it damage strength, dex, con, intelligence, wisdom, charisma? One of those 6 stats. Later on, or sorry, actually I take that back. When you get it at first, it damages con only. When you get to level 20, it gives you the choice of damaging something else. And you'll have 6 different toggles, one for each of those abilities I just mentioned. And it's permanent use, like you can leave it on all the time. So, well, it shuts itself off. But you can turn it back on at the start of every fight is my point. You never run out of fangs at that point. But early levels, before level 20, you only have like 5 uses a day, 7 uses a day, some shit like that. So it's kind of meh, but it's an extra attack. And again, it does a poison, so there's reasons to like it. And the fact that it unlocks infinite uses at level 20 was kind of cool. The other thing, level 2 upgrade, which was, what? Oh, it didn't even have a category. Yeah, like it literally, like if you click it, normally it tells you what you're upgrading, like you're going to see here. It'll say, oh, you're going to get this. You click it, and it doesn't have anything. Don't pick that one, because it doesn't do anything. The other one, on the other hand, the third choice, I suppose, would be a bonus to your armor class, called Snakeskin, and a bonus to mobility, and a bonus to your saves against, like, poisons, I think. And that one does work. So take that one. That's your third upgrade. And again, you don't have to take the second to get to the third. You just, second and third always show up at the same time. So take the third one. And then the fourth one doesn't work at all. The Greater Heritage, that's the Creeping Doom, where you summon your own little rat swarm to go take out the masses. It's a damn shame, because that would have been fucking funny as a bard to summon a rat swarm. It'd be like the Pied Piper and shit, right? I mean, it totally would have been theme, man. Just doodle-doodle, here's some rats, motherfuckers. Nope, doesn't work. So that's kind of a drag. Kind of bummed. But again, so number 1 and number 3 on that one does work. And again, I do like the extra armor, actually extra mobility, and the saves against poison is at least useful. Undead, the next one on the list, Undead Bloodline, didn't work at all. Not a goddamn thing. Don't bother. Orc, weird. The first one doesn't work, the second one doesn't work, but the third one does, and that's the strength bonus. So it's similar to your Abyssal. In my opinion, I'll just do the Abyssal, because at least you'll get the claws and the strength, and it's the same strength bonus, a +2, +2, +2. The only difference then would be, is if, like, maybe you really wanted to be a lore nature person, you could go Orc. But know that the first upgrade, the Eldritch Heritage, the first one is a touch bonus, doesn't show up in your tray, it's not even there. So that's a bummer. It's kind of a waste of a feat then. At least with the Abyssal, you get the claws. But you'd have to go athletics or lore religion. So that's my caveat on all these. Again, we are going for Arcane. We're going for Hair Familiar and calling it good. Level 1 spell. Where we at to now, Junior? I'm all over the place with my spells here. Level 1. Alright, I got Grease. I got Flare Burst. Got my heal. My Hideous Laughter? No. Well, I didn't take Hideous Laughter when it came up, huh? I must have really wanted Flare Burst. Or Unbreakable Heart, whatever I took. But again, this is your last one. 6 spells. And just so we're clear on this, you get 6 spells to pick from. 6, 6, 6, 5, and 5. Okay? for your totals. Different number of spells per day, that's on you. But how many you're going to officially pick? It will be 6, 6, 6, 6. 5 at level 5, 5 for level 6. Okay. Level 3, so you get good, hope, fear, cure serious wounds. Oh, I think it's time to grab me some haste. Level 4, rainbow pattern. We're going to get rid of that eventually. We got greater invis. Oh, hold monster. Yeah, I said I wanted that shit. Time to paralyze some mofos. Thank you. 1 to 12. More charisma, and we're taking that to 20. These ones always going up. And again, those guys now, this one again will be evenly paced. So it'll always be 2 behind this one and this one. And this one will always be 2 behind this one and this one. So it should be 5, 7, 7, 5. So again, we'll just do 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Again, on you for how you want to do that. Level 4 again, we got whole monster. I like Dimension Door. If you didn't have that sooner from someone else, it's about time she takes it. Notice Dimension Door is not just single target person teleport. It could be you or the team. So you can bring others with you. But you have to be really fucking packed in tight. So if you're taking a whole team of 6 and pets besides, you're going to have to do your party formation in a tight ball. So lump everyone in a fucking mass and just have that be like party formation number 2 or number 3. Switch to that one, move everyone into a cluster, teleport, boom, everyone will go over. And then go back to your normal formation. Be real clear on that one, because you can leave people behind and it'll piss you off, especially if you hadn't saved up till that point. Always scum save though before a teleport, in my opinion. Just saying, that's good wizardly advice. But yeah, we're taking that. And again, she can now use her performances to AoE heal, as well as remove fatigue, sick, and shaking conditions, which is kind of badass. But it's just a massive mass cure serious wounds. It uses 4 rounds to do it though. So every time that she does this, she burns 4 rounds of her song. She has plenty though by the end of the build. I'm not worried. Level 13. Notice that she can now cast those songs as a swift action. That's awesome. So she can still move and gun like we wanted her to. Remember, those 3 are always going up. And again, 1, 2, and then there'll be 1, 2. And then just keep repeating the process. Here we go, level 13. Grabbing ourselves Meta Magic, one and only. And we're grabbing Meta Magic Extend. Now, why? I didn't grab anything. There's a variety of shit in here. Other stuff that have honorable mention. If you're a damaging type, we don't have many damaging spells, but Empower works, Maximize works, and again, those do work on spells that don't damage sometimes. Let me give you, for instance, Mirror Image. Fine example. You roll a die to see how many images appear around your character, a maximum of 8. So you can empower it or maximize it, so it's basically guaranteed that you're going to get 8 or damn near guarantee every time. So again, this is an example, but basically, if there's a die roll, you can empower it. If there's a die roll, you can maximize it. So again, those are viable options that have nothing necessarily to do with damage. It's just what most people think about. Other stuff, elemental spell, I can turn my damage of my spell, which are usually sonic for the damage types that we do, into something else. Like if you want to do a ear-piercing scream that does fire or acid damage, grab the fire or acid category. Hell, there's even a force, or magic, category in here. So I can do magic damage, which again is not heavily resisted in this game. Again, on you. That's not my cup of tea, but it is an option. It is only a +1 to the level, so there is that, so that's at least appealing. But again, okay, dazing spell, kind of shit for how much it costs to do a daze. This would be important for stuff that's like AoE, though, I imagine, like a fireball that you went from level 3 casting to a level 6 spell. You fireball their ass, but you had the meta magic dazing on it. AoE dazes the motherfuckers. Okay, I guess I'd rather maximize that shit for 3 levels, because it'd be the same +3, and it would do full damage. So there's more likely that they'd be dead and not dazed. Again, it's the best crowd control I've ever found is a dead target. So again, on you. But then again, there's other stuff in here I would not do heighten necessarily. Intensified, we don't have enough spells that you can intensify. So it's really kind of wasted on you. Persistence, again, it's not that bad. It's nice though, and it's one though I don't think you can check that it works. So you have to trust that the modder did a good job on this. What do I mean? It's basically, if you ever played D&D recently and you have advantage and disadvantage, where if you have disadvantage, you roll twice, you take the worst roll. That's what this does. They roll, the bad guys, roll twice against your saving throw. They roll twice. The worst one that they get is the one that they have to take. So, gives you basically an extra chance to land shit And for a character that's an enchantress, let's face it, every attack that she has that's going to be an enchantment spell or an illusion spell for that matter, if we can get both of those, they're going to have to be saved against. So having them roll twice and taking the worst of the two, that's kind of useful. So I can't discount that, but it's 2 levels. And that's kind of, I mean, we only get to level 6 for our casting, so it's kind of a bad idea to me. But again, on you. Reach, same. Quicken, no. God, no. That's a 4 level increase. So you're only upgrading level 1 and level 2 spells. Bad idea. Rhyme, we don't have any cold spells. Or we have like 1, I should say, with an illusion spell. But that's it. Toppling spell, again, not anything in your repertoire that's force damage as far as I know. So a bad idea. So that's why we take Meta Magic Extend. Many of our buffs, well, not many, all of our buffs can be extended. And many of our enchantments have a duration, and as such we can extend those too. You see the appeal here? And it's only a +1. So again, a level 1 spell could be level 2. Level 5 spell could be level 6. So we have 5 levels worth of spells that we can extend, making your spell book just a little bit better and a little more versatile. So you can see the appeal. Level 3 spell. Let's grab ourselves. We got haste. Where's our overwhelming grief? Time to make them bow to me. 5. Okay, level 5 spells time. Our choices. There was nothing in here that I didn't want that's on my list. Or that's not on my list, I should say. So there's nothing to spec out of. So all these are the ones we're going to pick. So I'm going to give you every last one of them. So level 5, I'm going to grab Kai Shout, whatever you call it. Solid single target damage. It's basically like ear piercing stream, but on crack. Solid damage. Level 5, we're also going to grab things like Mind Fog. Solid AoE debuff. Teammate not friendly. Be real careful on that little fucker. But this really screws their wisdom and will saves. This is, again, most of your enchantment spells, if not all of them, are will saves at some point. So again, screws them over, softens them up for all your other spells. Or a teammate's spell for that matter. And lowers their wisdom. By the way, can't discount that. Remember, it said penalty to wisdom. Remember, that's a penalty not only to will saves, but penalty to wisdom is also a penalty to perception. So if they're literally trying to perceive someone on your team, I suppose, I think that would soften them up for that target. Like a sneak attacker, like a stealthy son of a bitch. Other stuff. Besides Mind Fog, we're going to get Phantasmal Web. Amazing AoE spell. 2 effects, not only a web spell, but a making them puke their guts out spell. Pretty nice because they freak out from the spiders. They become nauseated from the spiders. So that's nice. And that's the second round after they get webbed up. And then from there we have Shadow Evocation for some final AoE damage spells for a change. So we can mimic spells like Fireball, Lightning Bolt, Shout, Volcanic Storm, and Ice Storm. That's the cold spell I was mentioning a minute ago. And it is considered a cold spell for those intents and purposes. Same with Fireball being fire, and Volcanic Storm being fire, and Lightning Bolt being electric. Just because it's an illusion doesn't mean it doesn't fall under that category. Okay, so we're getting that one as well. And then Greater Dispel Magic to round us out. And again, high utility. You get to the higher levels of the game, so many guys have buffs on them that you're like, you know what? You don't deserve all them buffs. Greater Dispel Magic, bitch. And again, awesome. Swift action, loving all that. Moving up to the board. All right. Always, always, always. And 2, 4, 3. That looks like this one and this one now. Okay, first, replacing a spell. What spell we're replacing, class? This should be level 4. Rainbow Pattern. That should be your last spell that we're ever going to replace. From here. 14. We'll grab it at 14. Aha! Combat Trick. Deadly Aim. You've been missing this one. Solid penalty to your swing, but a solid buff to your damage with that crossbow. And again, you will appreciate it. Level 2 spell. Alright, where were we? Level 2. We're going to grab... These are our last ones, too, so I need to find the right one. Mirror Image. Yeah, there it is. Nice. Level 4 spell. Got 1, 2, 3 more of these total. So we got plenty to pick from here. So I got Greater Invis, yes. Hold Monster, yes. Dimension Door, yes. Okay, time for Cure Critical, I'm thinking. Get the last heal. Remember, you get heal here, and heal here, heal there, and heal there. Single target. Now remember, I should point out as well, your heal spells can also damage undead. So it's double utility there. It's not just a heal for your team. It's a fuck you to the undead bad guy. It's just a touch attack. But again, solid damage, and you'll appreciate that. Level 5. We got our Kai Shout and Mind Fog. Let's grab that Phantasmal. Well, let's grab Shadow Evocation. Let's get some AoE loving out here. Okay. Frightening Tune. Sounds good. More Bard. More points. Back to these two. Okay, level 15. Gonna grab ourselves Improved Eldritch. Heritage. Notice that there's two choices. Remember, I always said there's two. This is the one you can't pick. Notice this one. See this? This is why this one's glitched. It's supposed to give you free spells. And it's supposed to give you a total of 3. One at level 9, one at level 13, one at level 17. I think it's because you can't pick this up until level 11 that it's busted. By the way, for those that have an ear for the mod, you can tell the modder, say, hey, maybe it's because of that. Because normally the first spell shows up at level 9, so you can't pick it. Maybe that's the trick here. And again, I'm not suggesting they fix it. I'm just saying that that could be the reason that it's busted. But don't pick it. Grab this one. And again, this one's not perfect either. If you grab it, highlight it, right click with your mouse, and you scroll down and see it. This is what it's giving you. Combat Casting Adept, +2 to your concentration check. Level 9, it goes up to +3, which we're already at 9, so we're already at +3. Then at level 15 increases to +4. Bam. Level 20, the Arcane Apotheosis, which is to be one where it literally is you never fail a concentration check, doesn't work. And you know this one because I've done this on this is a common one for an Eldritch Scion. Level 20, the way Arcane Apotheosis takes hold of your character, how you will know that it works, is when you look under your spell book, you'll see your spell concentration bonus. For anyone else at level 20, it'd be 20. For you, it'll be 24. For someone with Arcane Apotheosis, it'll be 128 or some shit, some ridiculously high number. And that's how they guarantee that you always pass your concentration check. So it's like 100 plus. So it's really nice. So again, that doesn't exist. But you will get the +4. So again, you're less likely to be interrupted for casting spells. And again, I appreciate that. It's at least useful. It would have been nicer if this worked. That's why I actually grabbed the Meta Magic earlier, thinking that maybe that's the trick to unlock it. Sadly, it doesn't. So this one doesn't work for you. Which is a damn shame, because it'd be nice to have the ability to buff your meta magics in this way. For those of you that don't know, Meta Magic Adept, what this basically does is, for a spontaneous caster like us, or an Eldritch Scion for that matter, your spells, because you have to pick and choose them permanently, when you meta magic them, instead of it being the normal standard action to cast the spell, it's now a full round to cast the meta magic version of the spell. You have to put in like extra effort, if you will, to do the meta magic version of it. Whether it's extend, whether it's empowered and maximized. The only one that gets away from that is quicken, because of the nature of quicken, because it makes it a swift spell action by default. That's the only one that gets away from this problem. For everyone else, you could have Meta Magic Adept for like the Eldritch Scions, and literally a certain number of times a day you could say, nope, you know what, this spell, I'm going to cast it as a Meta Magic, and I'm going to cast it at the normal speed, which is awesome, because that allows you to do more shit. I would have loved to have had that. It doesn't work for us. And again, level 20 replaced by Arcane Apotheosis, blah, blah, blah. Again, we do not have that. And again, that's probably why we don't have it here, is because that would have been an upgrade for this motherfucker. And what Arcane Apotheosis is, not only is it a massive bonus to your concentration check, it also serves as all your meta magic spells are cast as normal, which would have been baller. But again, not us. Whatever. Sucks to be us. Anyway, level 5. Oh, let's see, where am I at here? I am looking at either Phantasmal Web or Greater Dispel Magic. I'll take the web. All about the web. Level 16. Keep going. Last point in Charisma. Last point at 20 will go up here in Strength. Point. And 3, 5, 4. There we go. Last 2 for those guys. Level 4 spell. And this is not your last one, but we're getting close. So we got Greater Invis already, we got Hold Monster, Dimension Door, and Cure Critical. So we're missing Shout and we're missing Freedom of Movement. Honestly, I think you'd probably miss Freedom of Movement more. Shout would be nice, but we already have Shadow Evocation that has Shout in it. Yes, it's a higher level casting, but so what? Still, it's there. We'll get it eventually. Level 6 now. Okay, level 6 spells. Again, you're not replacing any. You're going to take all of them. Other ones we're going to give you. You could replace one. You wouldn't be able to replace it until level 20, so know that. So there is an option to replace it later, but we're not going to do that. So level 6 spell, we're going to grab the following. We're going to grab Greater Shout. Nice AoE damage. Overwhelming Presence. This is like Overwhelming Grief, which was single target, but this is AoE version. fucks a lot of dudes over, and if they break out of the spell, they take a wisdom penalty and are staggered after that. So again, it's not sneak attackable per se, but you'll see the wisdom spike on the target. It'll say -1 wisdom, and you'll be like, oh, that motherfucker broke out of it, huh? Okay, let's down that son of a bitch. And then again, really, really nice stuff here. After the creature that succeeds at the initial save to resist a spell is merely staggered for 1 round. And I love spells that even if they make their save, they're still in effect. For if you ever watch any of my older videos, you know this. So again, this is one of these amazing spell choices. Other stuff that we're going to grab besides Greater Shout and Overwhelming Presence is Waves of Ecstasy down here. This one is, again, another one that softens them up for Sneak Attack Love. Not this part. Creatures that makes its will save, again, stagger for 1 round, and they can act normally thereafter. But if they aren't, they're stunned for 1 round, and then stagger for the remainder of the spell. So for that 1 round of stun, bingo bango, furry triangle, time to fuck them up. Sneak attack, sneak attack, sneak attack for that 1 round only. You have everyone focus fire on that son of a bitches that have been stunned. Money. And because this is a duration and this is a duration, if you extend this one with, let's say, like a Meta-Magic Rod, or another way, I'll talk about that later, you can double the duration. So it should be stunned for 2 rounds if they fail their save. And then for, again, best case scenario, 20 times 2. So 40 rounds of staggered, which basically is the fight. They'll be dead by that point, or they should be. If not, you got real problems. But the point is, and then again, this point here, the creature that makes its will save is staggered for 1 round. Again, that's a duration. I don't know this, but if they make that will save, they should still be staggered for 2 rounds if you've extended this spell. So that's still something. You see what I'm saying? So there's reasons to like that one. That's Waves of Ecstasy. Then, Summon Monster 6, and I know this sounds weird, like we haven't picked a summon spell this entire time. Why suddenly now? Because it's the highest one, for one reason. The other is, you can get flanking with multiple pets on a target. So, that's Sneak Attack Love, and extra damage besides. Who doesn't love this shit? And this is because she's good / neutral, whatever character. She's only going to get the Berlani Azadas, the Dire Wolves, and the Extraplanar Axiomites. The Azadas and the Axiomites, those little fuckers have spells. Electric spells. Be real careful, those bastards. They like the fucking lightning bolt, lightning bolt, lightning bolt, and don't give no fucks about whether your team's in the way. So, resist energy, electricity for everybody before you do that. Obviously, she doesn't have the ability to cast that spell. You'd have to rely on someone else to do it. Then have her summon them. If not, Dire Wolves every day, all day. And again, it's a decent number of those little bastards. They may be fodder, they may die quick, but it was damage that you didn't take, and if it sets up flanking for anyone else, including you, sneak attack, extra attack bonus to your swing, you can see the appeal. So that's why Summon Monsters on the list. Then, the last one is a weird one called Brilliant Inspiration. It's this little fucker up here. It'll be the last one I pick because I'm, again, have to convince myself that it even works. This is one, again, just like the other one we talked about with disadvantage, this is the one that gives you advantage for attack rolls, ability checks, or skill checks until the spell wears off. Can be based on the time, the duration of the spell, which in best case scenario for us will be 2 minutes, 4 minutes if you extend it, or the very first time you roll a nat 20. It rolls 2 d20s every time you roll one of these checks, and again takes the better, hence advantage. If you roll a nat 20 at any time, first round, 10th round, 20th round, whatever, the spell ends. So until that time though, you got a pretty good chance of doing something awesome. And I kind of dig that shit. And again, it doesn't have to be you, it can be a teammate. So I dig that spell. But it's one of those where I don't dig it enough to want it early. So I'm going to grab the Overwhelming Presence and the Greater Shout now, get me some damage, get me some AoE, Sneak Attack Love / penalties to the bad guys. And again, really does fuck them over heavily. Solid spell choices though. Bard. Boop. Boop, 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 boop. Oops. Get back up there. I don't know that you need you yet. 3, 5, 5. So 3, 6. There you go. Okay, and here we're not replacing any spells. So actually one of those where we finally get to keep all spells. Level 17 feat. This is our first and only, well not first, our only, sorry. It's our first chance to grab Greater Eldritch, blah, 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 blah. And go down to the G's, and here it is. Again, just to show it to you, character level 17, Charisma 17, and at least one of the improved Eldritch Heritage. You don't need both, just one of them. That's why I try to pair up ones that I guarantee you that I at least have one of those that's giving me a buff. Grab that guy, and notice we have 2 choices here. Again, more spells. Oh wait, it's broken. See the problem? That's why we don't do that one, we grab this one. And this is the one you want anyway, School Power. And enchantment, can be anything you pick here, don't grab Universalist. Anything else though. And it's just a +2 to the DC check. For all those spells from this time on. And So we have a list here, and I went enchantment. That's not the only spell listed to grab. I did write down somewhere the number of spells based on the schools. Wait a second. Yeah, there we go. Based on your schools with saves, obviously, that's the important part. We had a laundry list for enchantment spells. We're not taking them all, but again, we got a lot of them. And again, solid +2 to the DC check now, which again you'll appreciate. Conjuration had another good showing, but the only reason it had such a good showing is because they had 6 different spells, one at each level. That was a cure spell. Those have saves on them, but only against undead. But there's like grease and glitter dust was also on the list. And then other ones that had saving throws. There's a decent smattering of evocation spells in there. Flare Burst was one we have. Ear Piercing Scream we got. We got Sound Burst. We didn't grab Thundering Drums, but we could have. Shout, Key Shout, Greater Shout. We had all of them except for Thundering Drums. So again, you could have gone Evocation and been pretty happy with that. Illusion, you would think would be a decent Bard thing, right? There's only like 4 illusion spells in the entire Bard list. I was kind of bummed. Yes, we grabbed 3 of the 4, but we respec'd out on one of those 3. So the choices were Hypnotic Pattern, we never took it. Rainbow Pattern, we respect out of it. And then Phantasmal Web and Shadowy Evocation, which again, I appreciate those too, but it's not a good enough reason for me to grab Illusion as my choice. See what I'm saying? So Enchantment, Conjuration, Evocation, and there was even a couple of transmutation spells that we could have grabbed, like Slow's a transmutation spell. There's not a Key Shout, but there's another shouting spell called Resonating Word or something like that that does damage, and then epic damage at the end, so it's like 3 rounds of damage. It's a transmutation spell, but it's a damage over time, and I'm kind of like, fuck that, I'll just take Key Shout, because it does like 20 d6, bam, in your face. So, But again, there was very few transmutation spells on the list too. So, that's your choices. Never take Abjuration, never take Divination, and again, never take Universalist, there is none. So, doesn't benefit anyway. And there wasn't enough Necromancy spells to matter, there's like 2 of them. Blindness, I think, was like one of them. So, Enchantment. And again, this will stack. This is why we did this. This will stack with Spell Focus and Greater Spell Focus. Now, I can still do that down here. And you're like, well, Brother Mute, you only got 1 more feat. And no, you can't take it here. So, you only get Spell Focus. Aha! But remember, I have a mod. Spell Vulnerability has yet been taken. And if I do that, that gives me 2 feats at level 19. And again, I could do Spell Focus and Greater Spell Focus. I'm not going to. I have another thing in mind. But I'll show you that here in a second. Going on. I did check it. Liar. Oh, come on, don't break on me now. Oh, we're not replacing a spell. There we go. That's got to be what it was. It was freaking out. There we go. Okay, Live Tree. Last spell, number 6 total for level 3. Last one was going to be, so we got Fear, Overwhelming Grief, Good Hope, Cure Serious, Haste, and Slow. We're missing Slow. And again, Crushing Despair, you could make the case for me here for this one. I still like Slow. And again, this is another one of those transmutations. But also the Thundering Drums, I didn't take yet. Why not it? It does damage, Brother Mute. It's 5d8 of damage, no less. It's a very, very tiny cone. It's bad. Bad cone. Bad. But it does knock them down if they fail their check and they don't take they take half damage if they make their check and they don't go prone. But I don't care about that. It's okay. And I will say this for this one. One of the positive things I'll say, again, Sonic's not heavily resisted. The other thing, it's a Fortitude save, which is, again, it's not common for like a cleric or a rogue or wizard that come up on you, a fighter. They're going to make that check. But the other thing is, it's 1d8 of Sonic damage. It's a weird damage die, right? Not d6. It's 1d8, so it's pretty nice. And it's 5d8 max per caster level. If you had intensified meta magic, you could take that 5d8 to 10d8. Just saying, that's one of your few spells that you could have done that to. So that's a solid reason to want that one. But I still maintain Slow. And again, for the other reason of it is still a will save. Remember, we have Mind Fog. Massive penalty to will saves. Here you go, baby. It's not an enchantment, so we're not getting any bonus there. But if I throw down Mind Fog and they walk through and they get penalized from that motherfucker, boom, this son of a bitch is going to land. And that's nice. For the duration of the spell, they literally have a penalty to their attack rolls, their armor class, and their reflex saves, which sets them up for their shit. And again, they move slower. And it dispels haste, which a win across the board. It's an amazing spell. Teammate friendly, no less. So that's my argument for it. Level 6. What we're going to run here. I'm going to grab Let's get those puppies out. What? Those out. There's our upgrade for our combat casting adept. Remember, based on our level. So it does work. No bard. There we go. All right. We're gonna grab that, and that, and 4, 6, 5. Nope, 6 and 4. There we go. And here is a combat trick 18. This is a weird one, and you're gonna be mad at me. Don't yell at me. Arcane strike. Yeah, I know. It's late. It's fucking late. But it's free damage. Why would you turn down free damage? This is fucking free damage, man. If I could grab spell focus in here, you better believe I'd fucking do it. But it ain't in here. So, I gotta do something. There's plenty of good stuff that you could convince me is useful too. Blind fight, for a fine example. Remember, mini shot doesn't work with your crossbow. Clustered shots could work, though. Doesn't say anything about being a bow, just that your ranged attacks hit the same target. So again, if you really need to whittle something down that has high resistances, clustered shots is the way to go here. But this is solid damage. And again, she is an arcane caster. So by level 20, she'll have the access to a +5 damage bump per arrow. And again, that's free. Doesn't do anything else. It shuts itself off, so make sure you turn it back on. I still maintain that's a solid upgrade for her. Yeah, I would have loved to grab that at level 3, but we needed other shit. So on you to flop stuff around. Level 6. I don't want Birthing Inspiration yet. What am I grabbing? Waves of Ecstasy. Oh my. Time to get drugged up. There we go. Again, this is the one that stunned for a round, then staggered after that. And the stunned is the reason that we care about it. It's not teammate friendly, but it's a nice cone, will save, enchantment buff that we have to it. Really, really nice. And again, that stun, you or your team can capitalize on that shit for sneak attack love. That's why we went that route. 19 board. Come on, get it. Alright, now these two are done. And this one will be 7, and this will be 5 on that very next level. And then they'll be done. Level 19. Now this is where you take spell vulnerability. And while, she is a bard, and therefore, she does like songs and stuff, so you think, enchantment's her thing, what would be the opposite of enchantment? I can't think of anything that's the opposite of Sonic. So I didn't pick anything else. I went Abjuration. Said, fuck it. I'll be smart this time for once. Instead of role play, I'll actually go with this. So she's susceptible to cold and only at the very end of the game. She has a -4 to her saves against Abjuration spells. There's not very many in the game. So this is a solid upgrade for her to get 2 feats. Solid penalty for her to get 2 feats. So the 2 feats that we're taking, again, you could do spell focus enchantment. Remember, it stacks with our spell focus or our school power enchantment here. So this is now +3. I can do it again with greater spell focus and make it +4. That's kind of overkill, and again, there's something I want. What? Additional traits. Something that I get with my mod that you don't get in the vanilla version of the game. So, what are we going to grab? I can do a physique drawback. There's a variety of things in here that would fit thematically for Linzi. Same with emotion drawback. I can grab plenty of things in here that fit for Linzi as well. What would fit for her? Honestly, she's kind of a daydreamer, if I were to be honest. But notice that's a penalty to initiative and a penalty to perception, and fuck that shit. I'm going to say she's envious, and the reason I can make that claim, because I don't mind the penalty to concentration, because we have a bonus to concentration anyway, and B, we'll have so much money by this point that it won't even see this penalty. C, she is technically envious. I mean, you're my case out for this. If you play the game, there's little witty banter between the teammates, depending who's on the team. If you take Linzi and you take, what the hell's her name? Octavia. Octavia with you. She's the she's wizard / rogue when you pick her up at like level 2, level 3, and then you spin her obviously into arcane trickster is what she's meant to be. Obviously, she's amazing at it, epic damage. But she's the pretty face of the team, and she's like massive flirt. She's with Linzi. This is where you kind of get the feeling that Linzi might be bisexual or homosexual, because she starts flirting with her during the little campouts and stuff. Like they'll flirt and joke with each other. And here's my envy part. At one point, I heard them talking about I almost fell out of my chair. I laughed so fucking hard. So at one point, Linzi was talking about how pretty Octavia's shirt was, and she said, "Oh, sure, if you ever want to borrow it." And then Linzi said something about how she thinks she can fill it out. It was so fucking funny though, dude. I about fell out my chair. I started laughing so hard. But that's my case for why she's envious. So it still fits thematically. From there, you get 3 traits. Now, what 3 traits? There's a variety to pick from here, and I can't tell you the right answer, but I will tell you the ones that I sided with. So, went first for campaign trait, and this is a biggie. This one I would swear by. You want to go outsider, or outlander, excuse me. My writing sucks. Outlander, because Outlander allows you to pick one of these 3 things. Now, Exile's kind of shit. Initiative bonus, we already have +4. This will stack, so you'd be at +6 with that hair out and this thing going too. Nothing wrong with that. But Lore Seeker or Missionary, both, look at them. One gives you a bonus to your Knowledge Arcana. The other one gives you a bonus to your Lore Religion. So she's not bad at either of those, but she's not great at either. Whatever. Point is, I went Lore Seeker, but they both do the same thing. And not only do you get a +1 to that specific trait, either Arcana or, in this case, Lore Religion, both of them will give you 3 spells to pick from, and you make those spells in level 1 through 9, which obviously 1 through 6 is all you have access to, and they get a literally +1 to their spell level, to your caster level. So instead of being caster level 20, you're caster level 21 for these 3 spells. And it's a +1 to the DC check of those 3 spells. Well, guess what spells we're taking, class? You goddamn right, we're taking enchantments. So what 3 spells are we taking? First one we're going to grab is level 6 spell. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. See, it pops up here. And you want to go down to the O's. You can get that Overwhelming Presence, baby. Remember, that's that big AoE move. Teammate friendly, massive enchantment where they literally are susceptible to sneak attack love. And then, if they make their check, God forbid, they have a wisdom penalty after that, which again makes them more susceptible to other, probably anyway, will make them more susceptible to other will saves. So a beautiful, beautiful spell that you definitely want to be maxed out. So not only am I at +2 to enchantment, +3 thanks to my spell focus enchantment now, +4 to this guy because of this. Nice, right? Then, what's my next one? I'm going to grab a level, I think it's 3. Overwhelming Grief, the little brother of the 2. Remember, this is the single target one. And again, you may, well, this is kind of wasteful, brother mutant. Why not just grab Greater Spell Focus? Because again, you'd be a +1 to all your enchantment spells, right? Which include these 2. Clearly, that's the route that we're going here. And again, the third one is going to be Mind Fog, another enchantment spell. I think that's level 5. Yeah, Mind Fog is the third choice. And again, yeah, I could get a +1 to the DC check of all my enchantment spells, not just these 3 if I went Greater Spell Focus. But remember, this isn't the only thing I'm getting for this. I'm getting 3 traits. This is just one of 3. I'm also getting a bonus to my Knowledge Arcana, or if you went the other one, you could have gotten Lore Religion, but again, the point's still the same. It's a bonus to your skill, 3 spells besides, and not only is it a +1 to their DC, it's also a +1 to my caster level, which these are all based on durations. The duration is 1 round per caster level. Normally, I'd be at the end of the game level 20. For these 3 spells, I'm level 21. And I know that's not a good enough argument, but again, remember, I have 2 more traits still to pick from. So here's my rationale for why I want other things. The other 2 traits, I'm going to go for a social trait, Adopted, and there's a laundry list in here of good shit. But you go Adopted, click this thing here now, and you're going to look for the ones that's in the G. Glory, glory, hole. No, Glory of Old. Yeah, right there. +1 trait bonus on saving throws against spells, spell-like abilities, and Person. +1 to all your saves, damn near. I mean, now, yeah, there's saves in the game that aren't spells or spell-like abilities, but it's rare. And that's a solid upgrade for your character. Just saying, that's a dwarf one. That's why we had to go Adopted. So that's one of those traits. The other trait we're grabbing is a combat trait, and I know you know which one I'm grabbing. Blade of the Society. This is the one that literally turns your sneak attack dies into +1 extra damage. So when she has that spell on her, that's 5d6 normally. Best case scenario. Now it's 6d6 because we got another die thanks to this. And then it's +1 per die. So it's 66 + 6 sneak attack damage now. This ain't amazing, I'll grant you, but it's going in the right direction of more and more and more. And that's my level 19 picks for you guys. Level 5 spell, last one. Let's see, Greater Spell Magic is waiting for us right there. And again, if you felt like you needed that sooner, grab it sooner. Keep going. That's done. Bard. Last point. Nothing needs to be odd. The only thing that really benefits you from being odd at level 20 is strength. Make it a 9. She'll carry a tiny bit more. That's it. That's the only thing that did for you. But buff that, buff that, buff that. Those are done. Now 5, 7, 6, 4. So 5, 7, 7, 5. Now we're done. Now I'll show you those here in a second. Any spells that we're replacing? No. Remember, we kept everything. Level 5 spells and level 6 spells, there was nothing that I didn't want. I went with what I wanted right off the bat. Level 4, last spell pick. We grabbed that Freedom of Moon already, so we are missing... Dimension Door. Shout. Damage spell. And again, you may feel the pinch on that because, again, there's no damaging spells up in here except for, of course, against undead monsters. But Hold Monster is, while not a damaging spell, weakens the shit out of a target to the point where everyone should just beat that motherfucker like a pinata. So, yeah, you're missing on the AoE until that time, but remember, you were a hop, skip, and a jump from grabbing Shadow Evocation, and it has Shout in it. So I still maintain that Shout at the end is an okay choice. Level 6 spell, last one. This is our Brilliant Inspiration. And again, there's other stuff in here that might be okay. Eye Bite could be interesting. Grab a Huge Elemental. I've never grabbed one of those before, but again, I like the flanking with the multiple pets. But Eye Bite's decent. It always has an effect, unless they're just immune to Sickening. I would stay away probably from the mass heal spells, per se. But other than that, literally, Euphoric Tranquility, Eye Bite, and Huge Elemental were the other 3 choices. And that's it. That's your character, guys. Now, it's just as a brief mention, we're not going to gear her up like crazy, because that's just silly. Just as I mentioned, remember, Heavy Crossbow, best one you can find. If it's a Masterwork one, just go with the Masterwork one for the longest time. She'll get solid damage. You're not seeing the damage right now because we haven't entered combat, I haven't turned on her toggles, we haven't rested and all that shit. And I can force rest her. Matter of fact, let's actually just take it to... 1 second. I'll do myself a solid and rest to just get all her spells. And this is not just for combat. I'm actually just trying so I can show you her skills and stuff after the fight's over, really. But she will be able to set up, like I said, with Sense Vitals, if she can cast that ahead of time or at the very beginning of combat, she'll be able to set herself up for Sneak Attack Love quickly. Remember, she has Sneak Attack now based on that trait. So she already has it. Just a bad die roll here for her, because she really had a bonus to her initiative. See the 21? One of those little bastards had a 22. So she had the 7 modifier. 3 comes from Dexterity bonus. The other 4 came from her having that hair. And the hair doesn't have to be out. Remember? That's your familiar right here. You get a Perception bonus, and you get the Initiative bonus, regardless of whether you have it out or not. So again, on you. Notice, though, that her Dazzling Displays here. Here's your Arcane Strike. Here's all her other stuff. Notice that I'm activating the Arcane Strike. Takes away my Swift Action to do that. Or my free action, sorry. Time to do some stuff. What do I want to do with her? How about we scare somebody? Deadly Performance, no. Dirge of Doom. Sorry, because she activated her Arcane Strike. Fine. Let's do a spell then. Alright, what spell? Overwhelming Presence.
May I suggest another way to use this spell?
Requires you to click a target. Teammate friendly, though. See that? I'm still getting used to this damn AI. I'm going to back everyone away. Knows their effect, that's why they're not doing anything. Here, get the hell out of there. True Striker, get the hell out of there too. Okay, now it's Linzi's turn. Now, the sheet stuff. Sneak attack. Sneak attack. Notice the wisdom. I'll explain that here in a second. Sneak attack. And again, that's the 1d6 plus 1 she's getting from that feat. Or from that trait, excuse me. That's the only reason that that's worth mentioning. Is the lame sneak attack that she has. Now again, that's at level 19 and 20. But she has the ability to show you that she can do sneak attack, which means if I had Sense Vitals on her, which I have the spell, I could cast that. That would have been 5d6 more, plus 5 thanks to that trait. So again, it would have been a 66 plus 6. And again, it shows you that that did set up sneak attack potential for those spells. And now you notice that they took a wisdom penalty once they died. That's just because the spell's officially over, and the game is saying, oh, when the spell is over, they take wisdom penalties. So that's why you see the -4, -1, minus whatever. So that's nothing. Don't even worry about that. But it is a penalty. If, for example, it was like a troll that would get the fuck back up, I think they would have died. Not officially, because they didn't know fire acid damage. Would have died. They would have taken the wisdom penalty. They would have gotten the fuck back up. But the wisdom penalty should have still been on them. So there is that, I suppose. But by and large, that's the build. There's a lot of fun to be had here. Now look at the skills. And again, this is without gear. We haven't buffed up in any realistic way. And she has a song that she can turn on that can buff everything even more which I'll show you that here in a second. But she has a solid athletics. She has, oh, I feel like that's lesser than it should be. Oh, because I'm not wearing the belt of strength, that's why. She's a solid athletics, mobility as well, stealth. Again, once you add any stealth spell, invisibility, greater invisibility, or vanish adds another 20 to this. And again, that's not amazing, but again, it's still early levels, that's not bad. Trickery at 12. Use magic devices at a solid 29. Perception's at a 28. We got a 22 for Arcana, thanks to the Outlander, the Lore Seeker, +1. 42 for Knowledge World. That's when we went balls to the wall crazy on. Again, if you didn't feel like that was necessary, you could have peeled off, say, 10. I made this 10 ranks of this and added 10 ranks to this guy. This would have been a 32, and this would have been a 32. See that? Lore Nature and Lore Religion at 21, solid apiece. That's not amazing, but again, fits in a bind when someone else on the team that normally is your lore person is gone. Linzi's there. That's my argument for why this is a solid character to take with you most times. And sadly, without spoiling the game too much, sadly you will lose Linzi at some point in the game, and that kind of sucks because if you built around having Linzi there all the time, well, you just shot yourself in the foot. So it's just an issue that you'll have to deal with at some point. Other than that, I wanted to show you the song.
What troubles you?
Competence, inspired competence song. Activate that. Then go back and look at her stats. See the +5, or sorry, +6, excuse me, +6 across the board. And again, that's every skill. And yes, that's at the end of the game. I mean, when does it get to +6? At level 19. But it's steady. It's a +1, 2, 3, 4. Almost start at +2 right here. Yeah, so +2 at level 3. Then it's +3, +4, +5, +6. And that's not everything. Remember, this is just a competence bonus? Yes. That's a competence bonus. Remember, she has spells that will buff her skills as well. What are those spells? The one I'm thinking of is level 3. Good Hope. Morale bonus. AoE.
May I suggest another way to use this spell?
Teammate friendly. Cast on multiple people. Lasts for a minute per caster level. Solid spell. And what did it give her? A +2 morale bonus to saves. And it's morale, not resistance. So that means the Cloak of Resistance will stack with that shit. Attack rolls, awesome. Ability checks, skill checks, and damage. Just a bonus across the goddamn board for everything that you would really want to have a bonus on, damn near. Except for, like, maybe armor class. That's a solid upgrade tune right there. Just fucking saying. And that's just one of many. If she didn't pick it, but if someone has, like, Harem has, like, greater heroism, cast that on her. Yes, they won't stack because they're both morale bonuses, but the greater heroism is a better bonus because it's a +4, not +2. It's not quite the same buffs, but it will increase your skills +4. So again, greater heroism is a solid choice. Heroism before then is a solid choice. Both of those are single target. Heroism lasts a long time. Greater heroism lasts just as long as this spell, which is Good Hope. Good Hope's AoE. So you can see between the three, which do you want? I'd rather have the one that busts the whole fucking team. You see what I'm saying? That's why we went this route. Now, I know this video's gone on long enough, guys, but again, last thing to remind you of. Notice caster level, spell 10, concentration. The reason it's so damn high is because of your con, I believe, and your level, which is 20, and, of course, that trait of ours, our, not trait, sorry, the Eldritch heritage of ours that gave us a bonus to our concentration as we steady leveled up. 29. And again, that's how you know it's not the Arcane Apotheosis, because it should be like 128 or some shit. And it's not. So we know Arcane Apotheosis didn't work. It's okay. Notice that we have our meta magics, and this is the last thing to point out. Note your meta magics extend everything you can fucking extend. And I'm not going to do it, but I'm just going to show you an example of some stuff. Why? Because while let's take, I think Haze Slack would be a fine example. Yeah. They'll make a save on the first round. It'll last for 1 round per caster level, maximum 20, in our case 40 if we extend it. But if they make a save each round, could that be a complete waste to cast at level 2 now? Because they could make the save on the first check, they can make the save on the second round, or the 10th round, or the 20th round, and completely negate the extend duration. Sure, yeah, they can. So then why do it, Brother Mutant? Because sometimes you will run out of level 1 spells. And you'll be like, oh, if I can only Hideous Laughter that motherfucker. Oh, wait. I have a level 2 casting right here. That's the utility. That's why a spontaneous caster has this utility. At least one meta magic. If I could have fit into, believe me, I would have done it. And I don't even know what the other one would have been. It probably would have been either empowered or intensified, probably. And no, actually, I take that back. I may have gone for the elemental one, because I've never toyed with that shit. That would have been fun to breathe fire on their happy ass with a shout spell. Or it's like a ear-piercing scream where you just scream at them, fire damage, auto hit. It could be fun, or acid, or yeah, whatever. But the point is, it could have been cool. And again, you'll do it for all of them. So don't worry about that. The downside is you can't do it for any of these guys. And again, there was traits that we could have taken where I could have increased shout, or greater shout. Why? Because you say, oh, it's level 7, we can't cast level 7. Yes, but there's a trait that could have taken it down one level. So level 6 plus 1 minus 1 would have been back to 6. And it could have been the extended version. I could have done that for any one of these, but only one. So greater shout, it could have been overwhelming presence, it could have been waves of ecstasy, summon monster, or brilliant inspiration. Obviously, it'd be the 3 that do like damage would be the ones I would give a shit about, or the not damage, DC checks would be the ones I give a shit about. So I probably would pick one of these 3. So you could totally do that. I just chose not to. But that's a solid option if you wanted to have one awesome spell that was extended. The only way it works though is if it's only a +1, because the trait only takes 1 away. So you couldn't empower it. You couldn't maximize it because those are +2, +3 respectively. So again, that's kind of a bummer. And again, I chose not to do that, so don't bother. But with that, you definitely do that to your spellbook, update them all, give them a little color coded so you know that these are the upgraded versions. And again, you will appreciate it. There are other things to mention in brief. Remember, you have pocket healing. You know, your cure spells, cure light, cure moderate, cure serious, cure critical. We didn't take the 2 AoE ones, so she's not a true cleric. But again, if you've ever played D&D or Pathfinder, pen and paper style, and you've had a bard but no cleric on the team, you will love the bard, because the bard can heal your fucking ass. And she also has the AoE heal. That's this guy here. Notice that it's 4 times less, or a fourth less than these guys, because it takes 4 to activate it. So again, if someone's damaged, you come in the circle, you activate this. And again, it's soothing performance, that's AoE. And again, if anyone's been penalized with things like shaken, sick, and fatigue, those are gone. And it's a cure serious mass, cure serious wound spell effect. Takes 4 performances to do it, but sometimes, man, AoE, if that's all you got to heal the people up, you're trying to save your potions for the end of the game, let's say, this is the way to go. Between her or Harem with his lame-ass cleric ability to AoE heal like this, at the end of the fight, this might be what him and Linzi do to top everybody off. Just saying. But this video is definitely long enough. My name's Brother Mew. Please like, subscribe, comment down below. Tell me what you guys think of Linzi's build. I think you'll like this one better than Harem's. I know his was very milquetoast and boring, but I did like doing this one, and I think we did a solid build for Linzi. Now that still leaves plenty of choices for what we could do for her for the other 2 videos. Remember, I said I'd do at least 3 for every character class that you could play, teammate that you'll get, with the exception of the ones that are so far down the road that I'm not going to be able to get them. I'll make a main character that simulates them, so there'll be an elf, there'll be or half elf, there'll be a orc, half orc, there'll be a gnome, whatever. The only difference is I can't make a goblin, I don't think. So Knock Knock is going to be a complete clusterfuck. But he's already great by the get-go. I can just show you how to make a really good rogue, and most of that will translate over into Knock Knock as well. But I'm going to do the 3 videos for those guys. So one video is going to be the vanilla version of the game, which we have yet to do. And then the other 2 videos like this one will be a modded version of the character. So it will be definitely 2 different modded versions, at least, of every teammate. So this is mod 1 for Linzi, ranged. Better believe that mod 2 is going to be completely different and definitely going to be melee. Completely different spin on the character. So if this wasn't your cup of tea for Linzi and you're like, oh, I'd like to take her up in the melee, wait for the next video, which will be down the road, but it'll come, and it'll be the melee version of her. And again, a completely different take on the character. She's not going to be an enchantress at all. She'll have enchantment spells, sure, just because they're awesome, but by and large, completely different feel. With that, though, my name's Brother Mew. Please like, subscribe, comment down below. Tell me what you guys think. What do you think of Linzi's build? Point that down below, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye now.